Hello, everyone. I know this has been a much anticipated session. Our team has been working very hard this summer to help and bring new updates to Flint. So that's exactly what we're covering today. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. Yeah, so I'll walk through the updates for this past summer, and feel free to stop me at any point with any questions, but we can go ahead and get started here. So first off, I'll start off with the ice-breaking news as always. And then I'll go into actually things that have been improved in Flint, so from existing features or capabilities. And then I'll show the completely new stuff after that. And then finally, we'll hopefully leave plenty of time for feedback and Q&A at the end. And of course, the recording will be available later and questions are welcome at any time. So feel free to put anything in the chat or just speak up, unmute yourself. That's always welcome as well. Great. So to start off with some quick ice-breaking news, I saw this new study in Nature recently that was evaluating how AI-generated content tools were effective or not in higher education. So they did a comparative analysis of different subjects that had used AI tools to help students with knowledge acquisition. And I thought it was very interesting because, yeah, it said that using AI tools, the knowledge acquisition was 5 to 9 points higher than any other traditional edtech tools. The gap there is a little bit smaller when comparing to adaptive learning platforms, but still shows a lot of potential, I think, for AI tools to really help students actually learn and improve their learning outcomes. I think some cool things or interesting things to know, at least though, are that interdisciplinary communication was something that was helped a lot by AI tools, especially in the humanities, art and design, and social studies. And then also creativity was reported by students to be a lot better as well. But on the flip side of things, critical thinking across the board was something that students felt like they weren't having developed as much. So I think something that the study creators were saying was that critical thinking improvements were less pronounced, suggesting that these tools support divergent thinking processes, but might provide less robust support for evaluative reasoning. So I think that just means that when we're creating tools for students that use AI, we should really be thinking about how naturally there is this gap and we need to build out and scaffold activities and whatnot to better support critical thinking. Yeah, and then the study concluded with some universal principles that the authors defined, and these included various things to help the process of implementing these tools into the classroom. So they suggest faculty co-design and everyone working together to implement these rather than top-down mandates from schools. The explicit alignment between these tools, capabilities, and specific learning outcomes. So really looking at what the tool can do and then how that could help specific outcomes that you're wanting in your classroom. Stage implementation with iterative feedback loops. It's really hard to get AI right on the first try. So they saw that the schools that were really taking it step by step often did better and had more comprehensive deployment strategies. And then evaluating both the tool and the independent work. I think this was specifically for their study that helped them see better what the difference in learning outcomes was. But of course, if your school is wanting to do a study on that too, then I would also suggest the dual track assessment approach. Makes sense. And then also just transparent communication about AI's limitation and capabilities was really good when they were having this sort of transparent communication with students, because the student frustration was also a big part of improving the learning process. So yeah, there's a lot in the study. Highly recommend looking through it later if you all have time. Yeah, Craig is saying building chat tasks that are designed to be argumentative can help force students to think more critically about their own thinking. I really like that. Yeah, and even those designed to help students speak about their own thinking in order to help them develop metacognition, but teachers' support in helping students develop resilience and push through is essential. Yeah, Dawn is asking what you mean by building. Okay, if you if you want to share.
Yeah, sure. In Flint, you can build tasks that are designed where you design and build the AI to have specific conversation. So you can build one that is designed and instructed to argue consistently and repeatedly with the students about everything. So it forces them to keep thinking, and then even metacognition, it's designed to. So when as you develop it in Flint, you design it to ask about the thinking, then ask more and ask more and ask more. But I've seen when I've worked with the students, they tend to hit a limit wherever they are. So having teachers go in and then say, okay, this is how is really helpful. I mean, the AI can do that, but often when they start hitting their limit, they sort of close off, and that's where I find the teacher interaction coming in and stepping and supporting them is helpful. Grok has an argumentative personality that you can try out. And I've worked with it a bit, and it literally just argues all the time, and it forces you to be thinking about everything and coming up with new answers. And I find it can be quite helpful.
Nice, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, honestly, I think anything that can also get like students riled up like that in a conversation with AI is very helpful. Because the more engaged they are, likely also the more critical thinking they'd be doing. And yeah, and everyone wants to be right, of course. um, Great. Okay. Any other thoughts on the study, really quick, before we move on to the updates? Awesome. We can always talk about it later too. There are quite a few slides for the updates to get through, so I'll go ahead and start with that. So, for what has been upgraded, first and foremost, we've upgraded the models in Flint. We do this periodically whenever new models come out, and we like evaluate them for how good they are at reasoning or various other tasks. So we've changed the base LLM in Flint from Claude Sonnet 3.7 to Claude Sonnet 4 because it was better at coding, which is also not just enabling like computer science classes, but also enabling Flint to do more evaluation on its own as it's responding to students. And the reasoning capabilities were also a lot better in 4. So yeah, hopefully you'll see those results in Flint. And then for image generation, we moved from DALL-E 3 to GPT Image 1. It's allowing better text rendering. It can also refine and edit existing images, and it's also better at realism. So yeah, those are some of the model changes. Yeah, Craig is saying that he found the language in Claude to be one of the most human compared to all other AIs. Oh, but they've banned you from overuse. That's funny. Yeah, we also found that a while back. We switched from the GPTs over to Claude because it just felt more human. It was less like robotic and overly wordy. So yeah, really happy with Claude so far. Yeah, cool. And then let me show you all a quick thing also. So something that is now enabled by these new models is for Sparky, our assistant here, which I'll also touch on later, to actually edit existing images. So here I sent Flint a box on an inclined plane, something that really gave me a lot of stress when I was in school at least. And then I asked it to like help me find the normal force. And it did really well at identifying what the image was. kind of breaking down all of the steps here and helping me figure out how to get to that normal force equation. And then when I asked it to draw it on the image, it was able to do a pretty good job of doing that. So this is like an example of Flint being able to actually draw it on existing images. Yeah, as you can see, there's like still some like weirdness going on over here with the different dotted lines and whatnot, but I was able to draw the normal force and the weight. So yeah, I just think this is like a new capability in Flint that might be worth exploring for some contexts. There, of course, are still limitations. So as you're like thinking about whether or not to incorporate this sort of interactive drawing into an activity, I would just make sure you test it out and see if it works for your purposes. Flint's pretty good at like looking back at an image and identifying things in it, but yeah, with the diagrams, it's like it's getting better, but I wouldn't say it's perfect just yet. Cool. Uh, Alex is asking, will teachers notice a change in behavior in activities they have already created with the LLM change? Yes. So these LLM changes will apply to all new activities that you create and then also new sessions that are had with existing activities. So I wouldn't say it's like a crazy radical change, but you might want to go back to any activities that you want to use with students and just do like a quick test preview and see that it's not like completely different. Um, yeah. And then Bill is asking, does the new image feature work for editing images, like removing a part or just annotating? Yes, it can remove parts as well. It can add parts. So yeah, some you might have seen like similar things happening with like the or similar things that people are doing with ChatGPT, where they can like edit images and remove or add to it, like you were saying. So that's also available in Flint now. Yeah. Does the new image feature work better for music assignments with accurate notation? It might. I know that GPT image one is better at like diagramming things in general. So I haven't tested out the music yet specifically, but let me know if it does really well or if there's more room for improvement there. Our team can definitely look into it. Thanks, Allie. Cool. And Letha is mentioning the PhET simulation, which can be integrated with Flint for students to simulate experiments. That'd be really cool. If you have any links to share about that or examples, please throw them in the chat. I'd love to see them as well. Thank you. Awesome. All right, so the next thing, I know a lot of people have been asking for this, but whenever you're building out an activity in Flint, you usually have this chat with our AI to figure out how it should be structured and everything. And before, these chats would just be lost. And I even saw teachers like screenshotting all of it to show to like their colleagues to show them how they built something or just to like document that for themselves. But these are now saved and you can continue these conversations with Flint. So yeah, you don't have to all of the record of how you built something and what sorts of inputs you put will now be saved in Flint. Yeah, and then just one thing to note here though, if you duplicate the activity or if you share the activity in the library, this builder chat will not be saved. So it's just like a document for yourself of like what you input to get to that stage. Yeah, and let me see. Awesome. Any questions about that one? What about the chats in the analytics section? Do those save? Not yet, Tom, I don't think. Yeah, Sanskar is on the call, one of our lead engineers. He can let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have that yet. Um, yeah, okay. Matt's saying that he's new to Flint, so all of this is new. Yeah, let me really quickly show you what this looks like, I guess. So when you're in Flint, you can either have chats, which are these one-off conversations, kind of like you're talking to ChatGPT, or you can create activities, which is where you're kind of designing a chat bot with a specific personality and goal in mind to interact with your students. And so when you click on one of these, like saying giving students problem-solving practice, it'll start this conversation with our good old friend here, Sparky, who will start asking you questions about how to set up this activity. So once you've talked through with it what you would like and you've set up that activity, it will create this activity in Flint that your students can interact with. And there will be like a lot of analytics and tracking about what the students are saying as they're interacting with it. But specifically what I'm touching on now is you can go back into the settings and be able to see all of the inputs that you put in this initial conversation to set up the activity. And yeah, that's all recorded now, and you can continue the conversation and continue to make edits. Great. Okay. I see there's some like specific questions in the chat. I can address those at the end of the session if that works for everyone. But I'll continue on with the updates for now. So another thing that's like better now is that your chats will be auto-named. We kind of had this feature for a while, but it wasn't working super well, and you also had to like trigger it. So now it's like auto-naming for you with everything, and you won't have like this long list of unnamed chats on the side. So better for navigation and keeps things more organized. And then this is something for admin and Flint specifically, but the workspace panel looks different. There's a couple new things in there, but generally we've just like moved some things and consolidated some features. So yeah, now instead of seeing like, for example, workspace settings in the sidebar, everything is under settings and members there. Yeah, so that's just an FYI. And oh, I forgot to change the image there, but the SIS and LMS integration has now been simplified. So yeah, also for administrators, you don't have to get like approval from Flint to like integrate, and you can manage all that a lot more simply. We did do a session last week on workspace management where we dig into this more. So I've linked like the guide here, which I can put into the chat for anyone who needs it. But I would also highly recommend checking out the recording from last week, which I can also put in the chat in case anyone needs that as well. Yeah, I do believe Flint integrates with Model. I think that's one of the options. Ooh, okay, great. So that was it for the updated things. There's a lot more new features to go into as well, but I guess so far, any questions, comments, concerns? Cool, awesome. So when it comes to new things, you might have seen this character floating around a little bit, and we've been using him more in our advertising, but meet Sparky. Sparky is now actually officially in the platform, and Sparky's role is to be your teaching assistant. So yeah, terminology-wise, we are now calling like the platform Flint, and then Sparky is like the actual assistant that's carrying out all of the conversations with you. So yeah, that's just an FYI also, and just us bringing a bit more fun and character to the platform. And then for the more involved stuff, I guess, yeah, Sparky now has memory, and it can remember things about you or your students' profile and preferences. So this sort of memory is kind of similar to something that I guess ChatGPT has. But yeah, as you have conversations with Sparky, Sparky will start to remember things naturally about you, or you can tell Sparky to remember something about you proactively. Yeah, and you can manage all of these memories in your profile settings. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to go to a new chat, and I'm just going to say something like, remember, I'm only in 6th grade, wanting Sparky's future interactions to be 6th grade appropriate, either in the language that it uses or in the examples that it's using. Yeah, so you might have seen it flash across the screen for a second, but Sparky will say that it's like memorizing something, and then that means that it's committing it to your profile as a memory. So now if I go to my profile, clicking on my name down here, my profile, and then in profile settings, in the memories, it'll add to this list, but it says Lulu is in 6th grade. This is important context for adjusting communication style, content complexity, expectations to be age appropriate. So yeah, these are like various memories that are added. And then if there's anything in here that you don't want to be included in your memories, you can always delete it from here. And then just click update. Yeah. Oh, yes. Ty is saying that categorizing and organizing chats in the future would be good. Agreed. Thank you for that feedback. Okay. And then Nathan is asking, can an administrator tell Sparky to forget the memory of students if they somehow find a way to create memories that are not so useful? I think an administrator can go into the student's profile settings and delete things. Yeah, so I think that is possible, but I can double check as well. So, so memories is not how to create a tutor. I guess the tutors would be the activities that you create. So yeah, the memories just apply to specific students. So you can always like coach students who maybe have like English as a second language to like let Flint know like, hey, my English, I'm like still learning English and like I would like you to support me in that way. Or if there's a student who specifically really likes things shown to them visually, then you can like have them tell Sparky that. So it's more like um, giving Sparky that sort of context that you have about your specific students, more information about that. And then the tutors or activities that you're creating are more so like for one like class period or like one assignment that you're giving students. How do you want Flint to act for that? And like what are the learning goals there and what content to cover? Yeah, let me know if that makes sense. Um, let's see, does deleting the memories change how teachers can review student use? Um, could you explain more what you mean, Erica, on that, if you're able to? If not, that's okay. Um, I guess really quickly from Howard, he's asking who can see memories or profiles. Um, you're imagining that teachers wanting to suggest a student record. Oh, the student records something in the profile, but I understand it's not accessible to others. Yeah, so I believe it's that students themselves can see their own memories and profiles, and then administrators can see students and profiles, but teachers wouldn't be able to. But that is something that we could look into. That might be good to add as well.
Nilu, I would just like to intervene very quickly into this. Currently, we only allow one to use their own memories itself. We don't allow anyone to intervene in anyone's memory itself.
Ah, okay. All right. Thanks, Oscar. Yeah. So actually, the administrators can't view the memories, but yeah, that might be something important to add in the future. Will memories affect activities and individual chats or just individual chats? I think it should be both, but I don't think it's like, I believe like the goals for the individual chats will like override any memories. Like students can't say like in their memory, like, oh, I don't like doing homework, and then they just won't do the activities. So yeah, it should apply to everything though across the board.
Yeah, just to add a bit more onto that. So, Sparky's memory that you see in the profile settings are basically at the platform level. So, anywhere you interact with Sparky, those memories are definitely gonna come into account before Sparky is responding to any message.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds good. And then Sally is asking where to see the profile settings. Yeah, so you just click on your name in the bottom left corner, and then that will bring you to your profile page after you click My Profile. And then the profile settings are in the top right there. And really quickly for Haley, yeah, we do have CFR levels and also actual levels. So Sparky understands all of those, and you can describe your language levels with that. Wow, lots of questions. This is really great. Some groups. Memories or profiles specific to distinct groups would be very interesting. We actually added a new feature kind of touching on that, which I will, oh, it's actually the next slide. Okay. So we now have this option to set group level learning goals. This is kind of similar to how like the workspace mission and background works, if you all have seen that before. But essentially in the workspace settings, there's a field where you can put in context about your school, your sort of like educational philosophy, even context on like where your school is and like how many students there are, what grades you range from. So now also at the group level, which is like usually for your classes, you can set there's a field for learning goals and background. So in there, I would say you could like say that like you have certain students who have a preference for visual explanations, or maybe you have students who vary in like um, reading level or something like that. And you can put that all in the learning goals and background. But yeah, I think the specific to the profiles, it doesn't change between groups yet. Yeah. Cool. Okay. A lot of conversations going on. Sorry, try to keep up. Oh, interesting question from Sally. Does Sparky have access to Campfire sessions so that it can learn and explain updates? Um, not, it doesn't have access to Campfire sessions, but it does have access to our Help Center documentation. So it should understand an okay amount about itself, I think. Yeah. Okay, yeah, really quickly to show you what these group level settings look like though. So let's say like I'm going into this group. So anytime you create a group, you'll be shown the group settings for when you set it up. You have existing groups that you want to add these settings to. You just have to go to the group page and then go to group settings in the top right there. It might be hidden under the three dots if you have like a smaller window. But yeah, here you can like add a description. This is just for like students to see. This isn't the field that actually is made aware to Sparky. What you would want to put for Sparky is in this learning goals and background piece. So yeah, here it says help Sparky understand the context of the group by sharing grade level, subject, key learning goals, etc. Yeah, and something I would suggest actually is having a chat with Sparky, and then you can kind of just like tell it what the context of your class is, how you want to set up this learning goals and background piece for it. And then Sparky could actually generate a prompt for you that you can paste in here. From my experience, AI is really good at prompting other AI. So if you like don't have the time or you're not sure like how to structure this sort of input, you can always have Flint actually help you with that. Yeah. Does the classroom teacher or the administrator set up the groups? Either. So for most schools, we're suggesting that the administrators go through and do a SIS or LMS setup. So then it will actually create groups with teachers in them based on your rostering system. So all of those groups will be like set up through that integration. But yeah, of course, teachers and administrators can create groups other than that integration. And anyone who is an owner of the group will be able to edit this sort of group settings piece. So the integration will by default set the teachers as the owners, so they'll be able to see the settings and edit them. But I do believe administrators can also go in and add to these group settings as well. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Cool. Oh yeah, Howard is saying that the learning goals and background is a text entry field. It would be cool to upload like a syllabus as a file or additional things. That would be really cool. Yeah, we don't have that yet, but what you could do is put in a chat like, hey, here's my syllabus. I want to like incorporate a lot of that into the learning goals and background. Could you write a prompt for that? And then it could like convert that into text. Ah, yes, exactly what Craig just suggested. Great. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. This feedback was very helpful for us. Um, okay, cool. So Matt is saying, so the groups could be high school social studies or high school world geography from an administrator end, but the teacher might create a group within a class like intermediate English learner or slightly below grade level. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, and then have different activities in different groups. I would maybe like name it less explicitly if you don't want your students to see that because they'll see those group names. But yeah, I think this could be like a very helpful thing for differentiating because let me show this visually for you all. But like for example, in this like ninth grade world history group, I created this student group A section. So then I could put group settings for this ninth grade world history group and like add to the learning goals and background there. And then I could add additional learning goals and background onto the student group. Yeah, so like here I said like students in this group are reading at a 7th grade level, even though it's like ninth grade world history. Assist them more when it comes to reading, but keep the content the same. So then when you duplicate an activity from this main group, you can put, yeah, you can put a duplicate of the activity into this student group, and then it'll apply differently for the students in the main group versus the student group. Yeah, group A is very secretive in a way. Cool. Okay. Feel free to speak up if I missed any questions in the chat. But yeah. Oh, okay. Howard is asking how to make subgroups in the main group. Yeah, right. Let me show that really quickly. So if you want to make a subgroup, I would suggest going to the group page. So let's say I want to make like a student group B. I'll go to the ninth grade world history page. I would click add next to the groups here. And then here it gives me the option to either like generally create it in the school's workspace or to create it in this group. So I'll click create in this group. I could say like student group B. And then here's where I could also add like that additional learning goal here. I'll click create. And then, yeah, now you can see that this parent group is the 9th grade world history, though I could move it if I wanted to. Yeah, and now under this 9th grade world history, there's 2 subgroups. So Bill is asking if you create a subgroup under a group that was imported, what happens if the data import is run again for an update? Yeah, I do believe, so there's an option when you update to only add to what you like have existing, and Flint will like kind of compare and like look at like what groups have already been added and then what groups are missing. So it would only add the missing ones, I believe. Sanskar, correct me if I'm wrong though. And so it shouldn't change any of the ones that you've already edited before.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Can subgroups be made automatically through an SIS import or LMS integration? Yeah, we don't have that option right now. I do believe it's only like top level groups that can be imported. But that could be very interesting. If you have like a specific structure for how that looks in mind as an example for our team to look at, that would be really helpful. Yes, these are advanced questions, but this is very good. And I'm also very grateful that Sanskar is here to explain the technical stuff. Yeah, so won't rosters change for previously created groups via the import? At least add students to group membership based on roster. Yes, I do think new students might be added to existing groups, but existing groups, as long as the name is the same in whatever system you're importing from, it shouldn't edit that group.
Right, just to add a bit more context onto that. So if basically the same group is being resynced by the SIS import, we basically have a checkbox at the last option that whether you want to retain the current enrollments or you basically want to remove them and add the fresh ones. So by default, if we leave that unchecked, it's gonna basically add the new enrollments. But if you basically check it, it's gonna remove the existing enrollments from the same group and add the new ones.
Yes. Yeah, let me see if I can show you all what that check mark looks like. Okay, so this is from our like Help Center article. At the very end here, there's this option to remove users and enrollments that don't exist in your LMS or SIS. So if you check this, then that will completely reset everything to be one-to-one with like Canvas or Blackbaud or wherever you're importing from. But if you don't click this, then it will keep all of the like things that were not found in the import within Flint. So great. Okay. Yes, Howard, please talk with Jacob later about this. I know you guys have been working on a couple different things, including terms as well. Okay, so does Flint sync? I'm guessing you're asking Craig if Flint syncs like regularly, or if we have to trigger it. So you do have to trigger it in Flint. So whenever like you have like a new term or like new classes or something, I would go back into the settings and members. And then the good thing is that any LMS or SIS that you've connected to, that connection will still exist. So you just need to go back into the settings and members, click on SIS and LMS, and then click on this integration, and then go through the steps again to like resync the data.
One thing to add to that as well is that from the EdLink side, so if you were to look at the integration on the EdLink side, it does show that it's syncing every single day. But again, just to reiterate what Lulu mentioned, that aspect is not facilitated on the connection piece to our side. So it is, again, that manual piece. So Again, if you're checking that EdLink side, it will look like it's syncing every day, but that is not the case. So just wanted to highlight that aspect as well in case you're like, well, what it's showing on one side is different than the other.
Yes, exactly. Cool. Okay. Yes, more questions about this are welcome. Please send them in the chat and I'll answer them as we go. But the next thing is added to Flint is live activity alerts. So you kind of saw a sneak peek of this when I was clicking around in Flint earlier. But essentially, the owners of the activities, so whoever created the activity, can now view real-time message alerts about which students might need attention, and also the session table updates in real time. So what this looks like as a teacher is when you've like administered an activity to students, when you've shared the link with them so that they can start having their conversations with this activity that you've designed. You might not see this yet, the activity analytics, but what you'll start to see pop up are the sessions of students. So whenever a student makes a new session, it'll start showing up here, whether it's been submitted or not. And then it'll also start showing you which students are like struggling with the activity or not engaging with the activity. So here, like Sohan is saying that he's bored and Flint is catching on this, and like it'll give you some more information about that. You can always click into these and it'll show you in the conversation where the student is like not engaging or where they could use like your personal help. And so yeah, then you can like go to the student in person or you can reach out to them and actually like be that human in the loop. So this is kind of like what the thought process is there. And you can always like, once you've addressed it, you can mark these as resolved and like manage those better as well. Yeah, so just like, I think the prompting here is that it's catching where students are confused, where they're not engaging, and where like, in general, maybe if they're like getting a lot of things wrong, then Sparky will like highlight for you where or which students you might want to give more attention to in the classroom. Yeah. Okay, cool. See, just gonna go through the chat again really quickly. Okay, yeah, Bill is saying sessions have been live of sorts for a long time. Is this faster / more real time than in the past? Yeah, so before you would have to refresh your page basically for it to be live. And now it just does that automatically for you, so you don't have to sit there refreshing the page all the time. That's like the main thing for the sessions there. And the needs attention is fully new here. Yeah. Yes, Ty, this will also help know when students are trying to break the AI or make it hallucinate for sure. Seen only by, yes. So the like little notes in orange where it's saying like where the student is like not engaging or where the student needs attention, those are only seen by the owner / teachers of the group or activity. Yeah, the student does not see those. And the student doesn't see any of the needs attention or the activity analytics. Those are all for the teachers. And then in the sessions list, it'll just show them their own sessions. So like if I were Sohan, it would just show me these two. It wouldn't show me my classmate sessions. Yeah. Cool. Great questions. Very excited to hear how you all use this and if you find it helpful and have any feedback for it. Yeah, so another new thing is Google Drive integration. Yay. So you can now import files directly from your Google Drive, and that's all synced, so you don't have to like keep downloading stuff and uploading it into Flint and all of that. So this is now available via a new input bar design, kind of. It doesn't look that different, but let me just show you really quickly what the updates look like here. So in all of the input bars, you now have like these 4 options. most of which is still the same. So you can speak to Flint, you can take a photo, you can add documents, whiteboard, code, link, equations. But this add attachments button has changed a little bit. So when you click on this, it'll open this panel where you can either add documents from your computer, or you can import files from Google Drive. And then I'll explain this part in a sec in the next in the next slide. But here, when you click import from Google Drive, it'll just ask you to like sync your Google Drive account. And then once it's done that, you can see all of the different files in your Google Drive and add those directly into Flint. Yeah. Yeah, so Alex is asking if 365 OneDrive is coming. I think that's a question for Sanskar. I don't know what their plan is there yet, but I assume yes. Yeah, yes. Request for OneDrive, especially in China. Very true. Oh, yeah, Letha is saying that live classroom interactions would greatly benefit classrooms, especially sped classrooms. This is very interesting. Yes, would love to follow up about more on that later. Great. Stephen's asking, in practice, do teachers generally have students working on these activities during class or out of class? Yeah, I've seen both. Usually Flint activities are used for like anything that can be formative. Yeah, Craig is saying both. So you could use this as homework. You could use it as like extra practice at home or like helping with students studying. But we've also had teachers do things in class where it's either like, you know, getting personalized practice with a new topic, or even like for assessments even. Some teachers have even moved their quizzes into Flint. So yeah, kind of both. Yeah, Juan is also saying both. In class, quick formative assessment, and at home, use is encouraged, but with guidance in classroom first. Makes sense. And yeah, Craig is saying, I like having them work in class as you can guide students, but for extension tasks and tutoring, testing, ideally it is great when they can use it at home. Yeah, yeah, and students can use it on their own outside of class. Fewer distractions here and could proceed more with learning, for sure. Yeah, awesome. Cool, yeah, and I know like some teachers have even like applied like the flipped classroom methodology where the students use Flint to study up on a new topic, and then in class they might be having more conversations or like actually doing problem solving together. So that's also like a different sort of structure that you can create. Great. I think, yes, this is the last one. So you can now reuse files and attachments that you've put into Flint. So earlier when I was showing you, oh, my bad, click the wrong button. Okay. Earlier when I was showing you this attachment panel, all of these attachments down here are actually things that I've uploaded into Flint previously or I've created with Flint. So yeah, so like any sorts of like rubrics that you use commonly, or yeah, your syllabus, if you're uploading that in really commonly, you can find that in this attachments panel and then upload it, attach it to like a new conversation or a new activity really easily. And you don't have to like upload it again and wait for Flint to like analyze it again and all that. So that will also hopefully make things quicker for everyone. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So yeah. Oh, and you can multi-select and attach multiple items at once, which was also not available before. But yes, you can do that now too. Awesome. So that's all I had. would love to hear you all's feedback or additional questions that I may have missed. Yeah, go ahead, Yossi.
First of all, thanks for one of the things I love about Flint is that y'all are always iterating. So really good stuff. So some of the conversations in the chat made me think of this idea of situations where there are fewer devices, either by design, if folks don't want folks on devices, or due to budget constraints, having some sort of collaborative setup, which is different from groups. The idea would be that there could be pairs of students in a turn and talk, or smaller groups of students that work collaboratively on one device, that there's like a secretary who's designated to interact with the chatbot, and that it would be somehow, to create kind of the human-to-human piece with the students working together and then interacting with the chatbot, and as a pair or as a group, as a team kind of thing, where the chatbot is it has a list of all the students in that pair or in that team, and can interact in that way, which means that it's going to be less personalized, right? There trade-offs there, but as an option for folks to use in that way. I don't know if that's interesting to other people, or if that's come up as a product idea or element.
Yeah, that's super cool. I've seen I feel like some people do that anyways with Flint, even though it does have the trade-offs compared to like the one-to-one model with students, where they just like set a laptop on the table and then the students can come in and like continuously have conversations. But then you lose that element of like knowing which student had what conversation. So yeah, it might be cool to like set up almost a station setting to Flint, or where the students can come in, they can say like, hey, I am this student, and then another student might also say like, oh, I am this student, and then they can have that conversation. And so Flint, like, because they like introduce themselves at the beginning, Flint knows like who is who and like how to personalize to them. But yeah, they can work on the same device. Yeah, could be interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, so yeah, Kruti is saying, are there any resources on building high school math? And so SE activities. Yeah, the challenge you face is in rubric building and adding scoring notes. Any resource to share? We have like previous Campfire sessions where we kind of talked with like math department people and various other like subjects. I would look into those, but we also have this tools page on our website, which might have something that you're looking for. It kind of describes how you can use different activities or different chats and activities to do various different tasks like you're describing. Yeah, and Stephen is adding on to what Yossi said, where it would be cool if each member of the group had a different role and Flint responded to them accordingly. That could be really cool. Yeah, like one student is, like even in a debate, it can like assign which student should take on which side and then kind of monitor that debate as they're going at it. Yeah, Bill is saying currently the keyboard driving student could share that chat with the peer after the fact for access later. Might be nice for a chat to be associated with multiple student accounts. Yeah, you can like start a chat and then share it with someone else, and then they can like add on to it, I believe, if they duplicate that conversation. But yeah, that it's not like quite as seamless as like the actual back and forth that we might be able to have. Yeah. Cool. Getting suggestions for the public library. Yes, there has been a campfire for lower schools. It has been a while though, so we will probably do another one sometime within like the first couple months of the school year. That's kind of the plan, at least for these campfire sessions. We'll like redo like all of the subjects and like the different levels that are relevant as well. +1 to what Bill said. Awesome. Cool. And then is there a plan to add organizational folders within groups or activities? I think we did have a plan to do that. We didn't include it in this summer's updates, but I think that is on the horizon. Yeah, I can't promise when that will be. Yeah, and then using subgroups for that, I think I could see how it's like a little bit different. But you could use subgroups to organize it currently. It just like isn't quite as seamless because then the students will also have all of those, and like it might be a bit much to create. Yeah, I do see like the benefit in adding folders compared to just using groups, but you could probably kind of use subgroups right now to organize things if it is getting to be like too much. Cool. Oh, and Howard is saying it would be great if multiple teachers could collaborate through a shared chat with Sparky to build an activity together. Yeah, that could also be really cool. Kind of like a group chat in the builder chat situation. Nice. Awesome. Thank you all so much for this feedback and these ideas. I will go ahead and wrap up the session really quickly since we have like 2 minutes left of scheduled time. So, yes. So next week's session is on running a Flint PD session. It might be scheduled for Monday. I just need to like check a couple things. So kind of a quick turnaround, but I will be sending out those registration links and everything to all of the subscribers to our Campfire calendar today. And then, yeah, also I might send out like a newsletter tomorrow or Monday letting everyone else know as well. Yes, so that is in the works for getting planned within the next few hours. Yeah, and then of course the recording for this session will be available on our website, and you all on this call will get the link directly to it. So no need to like look for that. Once it is posted, I will send out an email with it being available. And yeah, so some final QR codes. We do have the Campfire calendar. I think if you've registered for one of these though, you're already subscribed to it. So no need to subscribe again. We have a new Instagram, which we are going to like start adding more teacher facing content onto. So like inspiring teachers to like use Flint in different ways, some tips and tricks. Yeah, so feel free to give us a follow if you're interested in that. And then finally, we have the Flint community, which is our space for everyone to like ask each other questions, share ideas, get help from our team also. So I would also highly recommend joining there if you have like, if you want to collaborate with other educators at other schools on how to use Flint. Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. I'll stay on for a little bit to answer any like final questions, but yeah, thank you all so much for coming to the session and giving us amazing feedback on all of the updates. If you all think of anything else that you want to give us feedback on as you like start trying these out, feel free to just like reach out to our team. You can email us at support@flintk12.com or lulu@flintk12.com, jacob@flintk12.com. We'll like collect all of that feedback and discuss it with our team and see what we can do to improve Flint even more. But yeah, thank you all so much.
Lulu,
Yes.
if Sanskar is still around, does he have any idea about the 0365 file linking like you guys did with Google?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sanskar, I think, is still on here.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Alex, thank you for mentioning that, honestly. And I don't have a hard timeline on building that particular feature itself, but there's something that is definitely a great feedback. So yeah, we would definitely love to look into it and take it up.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Lulu. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.